Hey, before I kick off the podcast, I just want to shout out Next Door Clothing. Next Door, a clothing brand based out of Bondi in Sydney. They're making really nice jeans and shirts and hats. So go and check out their full range at nextdoorsydney.com. They're also artists, so you can go and check out a range of art. They put on rad parties, and I love what they're doing. So nextdoorsydney.com for the full range. Clementine and Otis, Daddy loves you. Okay, I'm going to start with some shout-outs. Indosol and Tectonic Coffee, the main sponsors of the podcast. So grateful to have these guys on board. They're just like the most generous people, and ethics are at the core of all that they do. So Indosol, in case you're unaware, they make flip-flops and sandals from repurposed motor vehicle tyres. They give back to the community, they create jobs, and they're supporting a change in the materials revolution. It's just beautiful. If you go to their website, www.indosol.com, and use promotion code THT at checkout, you'll get a 15% discount. You'll be supporting them, you'll be supporting me, and you'll be actually buying consciously. Tectonic Coffee, same thing. They source all of their coffee ethically. The owner, Deaton, and his wife, Chelsea, they're traveling all around the world to make sure that the processes in place are in line with the ethical standards, and quality is at the core of all they do. The coffee is pesticide-free, chemical-free. It's super clean caffeine. If you go to www.tectoniccoffee.com, use THT at the checkout and you'll get a discount on that as well. They're based in LA, and they've just been through so much with the COVID pandemic, and even after the riots as well in LA, they weren't able to deliver their product, and they've really stayed committed to their staff and kept everyone on board. So it's really beautiful. All right, Tessa, are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm having a good time.
You are?
Yeah.
I can tell.
And we are rolling too.
Terrible happy talks. Terrible happy talks. Terrible happy talks. Terrible happy talks. Why are you laughing, Tessa? Today's guest is Tessa DeJosselin. Tessa is a surfer, Australian actress, voice-over artist, and currently studying a Masters of Sustainable Development and Climate Policy. Originally, Tessa graduated university with a geoscience undergraduate degree and did a stint as an environmental planner. She has starred in numerous Australian TV shows and movies, and was also the lead in a German-Australian TV show called In Your Dreams, in which she lived in Germany and spent her days filming in a castle and travelling around the countryside. Tessa is committed to following her heart, living with purpose, and seeking her truth. Today, she's with me to share her journey, experiences, challenges, and hopes for the future. Tessa DeJosselin, welcome.
Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you for
That's
your time.
a lovely introduction.
Yeah, how does it sit with you? Like, I was asking you, like, does it feel weird when someone talks about you?
Yeah, it's always weird. I think you never get used to someone kind of like packing the last 15 years into like 30 seconds. That's, yeah.
It's hard because, like, I did a bit of research on you, and you've done a lot in your time. Like, and I was like, how am I going to condense that? And it's really inspirational, actually, because, like, I feel like you're someone that is very much like, you seem very, from what I can see with like your, I guess it's your initiative, the Yikes initiative, combined with your voiceover work, combined with your acting. It seems like you're super driven. So where do you find your energy to do these things?
My energy.
Inspiration, energy.
My inspiration and energy. Honestly, I think it's just when you're interested in something, it doesn't seem like it's a task.
Yeah.
My interest in environmental, like educating myself on environmental issues and working in the field, is just because I care about the environment. And acting, I've driven with that because it's really fun, and it's like you just get to play 24/7 when you're on a job or when you're auditioning. So it's kind of selfish in a way because I'm doing it for me because it's fun. And yeah, I suppose when you're enjoying what you're doing, it's not hard.
When did you get into the acting? Was it something as a child you were immediately drawn to?
Yeah, I think as a kid, my parents would describe me as lively and talkative and very, probably quite a little diva or like attention hog.
Do you like being center of attention?
No, I think I just like telling stories. Like I liked engaging people and making people laugh. Diva is probably not the right word, but no, I definitely enjoyed performing from a very young age. I was doing theatre and Eisteddfods and drama all through school. So that was something that came quite naturally and I didn't feel scared. I actually really, really enjoyed it. And it was a good place for me to kind of focus all of my energy into, as opposed to, I don't know what kids are doing when they don't have something they love, but
like it's funny. I talk a lot about passion. It seems like, would you say that you found your passion early in life?
Yeah. I mean, surfing's another one of my passions that I found really early and that I'm still practicing every day. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting with passions because you can find them at any point in your life and it doesn't mean the ones you find earlier, the more like true or entrenched passions. But I definitely found two of my most favorite things early. Yeah.
That's lucky.
It's nice.
And I feel the same because, surfing, but I didn't actually find surfing till a little bit later on, like into my late teens. Even though everyone I knew surfed, I was actually very much into skateboarding. I was just enamored by
a concrete surfer.
Maybe, yeah. The culture's so different though.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I had that all through my teen years and now even as a adult, I'm still very much in love with it. And it's like when life is getting hard or tricky, like I have that to go back to and I have surfing to go back to. And it's been like, it becomes like a rock or a foundation that you can rely on.
Yeah. Surfing is just like that, isn't it?
What does surfing do for you apart from the thrill of catching waves?
But the thrill, it's so good.
It's addictive.
It does so many things. What I really love is that the ocean and surfing, it's always changing. The conditions are always changing. It's not something, it's not like going to the gym. No offense to anyone who loves going to the gym. But each day is a new day and yeah, you're kind of having to be adaptable to that. Yeah, I mean, I like so many things about it. I like that you can travel with it. I find that really lovely, being able to travel and share it with friends or with partners or family. I grew up surfing with my brother and my dad. So that was really lovely. It was something that really brought our family together or became like a big part of our family. And just being in the ocean, it's pretty great. It's cleansing. It's rewarding. It's humbling.
It's a really healthy lifestyle. I want to give it to my children like your dad gave to you.
Yeah. It's such a healthy lifestyle, isn't it? You don't want to be up late drinking when you know the surf's good in the morning.
I can't believe you said that because I don't drink, and that's why I don't drink. I'll never forget. Right. Like there was one day I had a terrible hangover and my local spot was like pumping for the first time in years. It was the swell of the year. And this place was on and I was just too hungover to surf. And I remember I'm standing on the beach.
Such a shame.
I know, right? And like I'm watching my friends get the best waves and I just remember standing there going like, I'm never letting this happen again. And I didn't.
Wow.
There you go. Yeah.
Good on you.
Stay connected.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going back to the surfing thing though, I really like what you said. Like you can look at the ocean any day of the week and it never looks the same. Like, there's always a slight change in the wind direction, or if it's winter, the sun's in a different spot, and it has so many different moods.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah. You notice it when you live by the beach as well, because you kind of become like, you get a bit more like your spidey senses are turned on, and like you look out the window and you go, oh, it's that kind of grey sky, low wind. Ooh, like it's good.
It's going to be good.
And most people are like, ooh, it's a grey day. Like, why do you want to go to the beach? It's like, no. My spidey senses are tingling, like the waves are cooking. We got to go.
Do you have like really special memories with your father as a young girl going to the beach?
Yeah. I mean, with my father and my brother, I think the three of us really, we spent a lot of time surfing. I mean, my mum also was down at the beach, but not necessarily out there in the waves. But yeah, growing up in Narrabeen, there's a really strong surf culture. So it was, lovely to have Dad teach me how to surf, but then also be part of like this wider community with a lot of kids and a lot of parents. And it's like just such a nice network of people, and you really feel so much part of like a wider, lovely community when you surf there. You spend time away and you come back and everyone's like, "Where have you been?" I'm like, "Oh, it's like it's always there, and it's really nice." And like I said before, it's something that we'll always be able to share, with my brother and with my dad. It's
Amazing
nice.
memories. Years ago, just when my daughter was born, she's 5 now, there was like a Samsung TV commercial, which is so random, but the commercial was like this guy with his daughter like walking down the beach with their surfboards in the morning, early morning, holding hands. And I used to like get all teary going, that's what I want for my daughter, and ever since she was born, I've just been trying to get her in the ocean, and she's just not into it. Like
Really?
How
old is she?
She's 5. She's young. She's 5,
Yeah.
but just does not want to go near the ocean. And she even says to me, "Daddy, I never want to go in the ocean. You can just surf without me." I'm like, oh, damn it.
I wonder though, my brother is older than me. He's 2 years older than me, and I really wanted to just be him. When I was a kid, I was like, I was just emulating everything he did. I followed him.
Why? Why did you want to be him?
Not be him, but I just wanted to do everything that he did. I think I just looked up to him. I thought he was the coolest.
Would you say he was your number one role model as a young person?
I mean, maybe. Yeah, when you're a kid and you're with your siblings and it's like they're kind of all you know. Yeah. Like you're in this little bubble of your family and you have your mum and dad. Well, in my case, I had a mum and a dad. And then I had this older brother who's really cool, and he surfed and he skated, and he was like, he looked after me. And yeah, I wonder if I didn't have him, if I would have been so like driven to be like, I'm going to surf too and I'm going to skateboard too at like such a young age. I think it really it fostered this nice environment of like, we're all going to go skateboarding together and we're all going to go surfing together. And I was like, this is what you do. This is normal. So I don't know.
No, it's a good one. I find it interesting because I'm the eldest. So I've never had an older brother to look up to, but I've got friends that I look up to like that who were like a big brother figure. And it was like this weird dynamic where I just loved them and I wanted to copy them and be exactly like them. But then they'd like pick on me as well, but in a loving way, like grommet abuse.
Oh, yeah.
And so I've got like these mixed like memories of like I love them so much, and combined with it's kind of painful as well because you picked on me, and I don't know. It's
grommet abuse is really. Does it still happen?
It doesn't.
I feel like it was still around when I was a kid.
It doesn't.
But not as bad as what it used to be.
I don't think it happens at all, to be honest. But I see grommets in the surf now, and they're so confident. I used to be so timid.
Yeah, I was terrified.
Yeah, I was terrified like of the ocean, and then also the people, and I just wanted to make sure I was never in anyone's way.
Yeah, but getting in someone's way is a really horrible feeling.
It is.
Yeah,
even now. I'm getting more comfortable with it. So you said have you travelled for surfing much? You said you went on a surf trip.
Yeah, I've done a lot of travel with the surfing as the main goal. I've gone. I'm into Indonesia a lot, all through Indonesia, Bali, most recently to the Maluku Islands.
Papua New Guinea.
Which is West Papua. It's
West
actually
Papua.
Still part of Indonesia, but it's right on the border there. It was amazing.
So you're on a boat?
I was on a boat.
But obviously didn't go near the land at all?
No.
Because it's quite...
It's dangerous.
There's some dangerous stuff going on there. There was like a genocide occurring there.
Yeah. I mean, I learned kind of a bit about that when we were on the boat. I didn't know too much prior, but we didn't go on land. We just stuck to the waves, and yeah, it was pretty beautiful.
How would you describe the environment? Was it
hot?
Hot? Was it really raw?
Yeah, it was hot. It was very isolated. It was early in the year, so it was kind of the wet season, although we didn't get too much rain, which was nice. Surfing reef as opposed to surfing sand bottom, as you would know as a surfer, is like such a different ball game. So I was definitely aware of the power, like the raw power that came through on the bigger days. It's like, oh, this isn't just my beachy on a 4-foot day. This is like big swell, and I feel very undergunned, and my little rubber booties may not save my toes from the reef.
They don't sometimes.
No.
It goes through them sometimes.
I know, yeah. So yeah, that was definitely something that hit me. But just the stillness and the quietness out there was really pleasant.
Yeah. I really like to try and do a boat trip. I mean, originally I said once a year, but then once I had kids, that was all over. But it fully grounds you, and just to sort of escape from our modern world a little bit, you know, like no phone reception, no traffic. It's I think we all need to do it regularly. And I think we still can do it even if we're living in urban environments. I think you can always find little places of solace.
Yeah. Yeah. If you turn off your phone.
Do you struggle with your phone?
No, I'm actually okay with my phone.
Are you?
Yeah.
I struggle with it.
Yeah. I mean, I have to be kind of on it for work through like work hours, but I've gotten better at being able to switch off at nighttime. I'm still human. You know, you still get stuck in vortexes of things, and you're like, why am I looking at this?
Social media,
yeah, or just like random videos on YouTube or just things like that. It's like I could be reading like a really interesting book right now, but I'm looking at like a meme.
No, and like it's funny you should mention books. I can't read books. You know, you can get books on your iPad and Kindle and stuff. You can't beat pages of a paper book, you know. But going back to, you said you need to be available for work. So can you sort of tell us a little bit about that? Like, why do you need to be on it for work reasons?
Yeah. So I'm an actress, but I'm also a voiceover artist.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You do have a great voice.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So that's something that I've been doing for like a year and a half.
And what does that look like? Like, what does being a voiceover artist mean on a oh, that's a nice bird.
It's the birds. They've gone crazy. It's all sorts of things. So I get booked on radio jobs or TV commercials, or anything to do like any like internal kind of advertising jobs. They do a lot of like case studies and pitches and things like that. So they need a voiceover artist to make everything look and sound amazing, and hopefully win them a job. But then there's also audiobooks. There's actually, if you start thinking about it, there's a lot of stuff that you need a voiceover, like documentary films, you have a voiceover artist. I haven't done a documentary, but if anyone out there wants me, then I'll do it.
Maybe. Charlie Hill Smith.
I don't know who that is. But
He was on the podcast. He's a documentarian, Australian. He's an actor as well. He made actually a documentary about West Papua.
Oh, cool.
Called Strange Birds in Paradise. And he's actually making another one as a follow-up to it, because it's now been about, sorry, Charlie, if I'm wrong, about 15 or 20 years since he made the original. So now he's going back.
Wow.
So there you go.
That's a cool premise for a doco. I got to look that up.
Yeah, he talks about it in our episode. I think it's episode 30 or 40. He's a really amazing guy. So there you go. And he also made a Red Bull one called Motorkite Dreaming, about these crazy Australian guys who flew across Australia in one of those, you know, those makeshift helicopters that are a hang glider with like a lawnmower engine.
No,
Have you seen those things?
That sounds so Australian.
It's so Australian. So he documented their journey. Sorry, tangent.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like, how do you even actually become a voiceover person? Like, what inspired you to go that direction?
Oh, I honestly, it kind of just kept popping up when I was doing acting work. So my acting agent, they're amazing, and they also kind of would put me forward for voiceover work every kind of here and there. And I booked a couple of things, and then I kind of realized like, hey, this is really fun. I think I'm all right at this, and maybe I can try and do more of it. So I reached out to a more specific agency that does just voiceover work. And they were really stoked to have me, and I was really stoked to sign with them. So now I kind of have both agents, and the voiceover agent is, they just focus on voice work, and they're sending me out to things like quite often, every week.
And you're enjoying it?
I love it. Yeah, it's flexible, and a lot of the time you don't get much warning. You kind of show up and they have a script and you go, cool, what kind of vibe do you want? And, you know, you're reading it for the first time on the spot. So there's a lot of pressure. But at the same time, going in like feet first without much like time to prepare, I seem to like. I feel like it actually takes pressure off because they're not, do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Does that make sense? That's like exactly how I am. Like you even seen it today. Like, I'm like, quick, put the intro together. I actually sometimes need that pressure to perform.
Yeah.
Is that how you feel?
Well, no, the pressure is definitely, that's one thing. And they say that in acting that the first take is sometimes the most magical because there's still a little bit of nervous energy that's like you're still ironing out like, are the lines down or like am I hitting my mark or you're thinking about a lot of things in the first take and there's that little nervous spark. But no, I more mean with voiceover work, like there's not a lot of time to prepare. So sometimes I'm like, I don't know.
Prepare as in like if they're giving you the read.
Yeah.
What do you need to prepare? Like your understanding of the read? What they actually want you to?
I mean,
how they want you to emphasize it?
There's not a lot of time to prepare because, you don't need to prepare much. But then I suppose just feeling comfortable with the words. Like sometimes the first read I'll fluff a few words and I'll say them wrong. And I'm like, oh, you idiot. That's not how you pronounce that word. Like, do you read? But you're also, you're looking at enunciation, but you're also looking at the melody and you're also trying to find the words that you need to hit. And also a big thing is finding where you put your breath in. So if it's a long sentence that someone has typed out, but they haven't actually read out loud, they might not realize, oh, this is not humanly possible. You can't humanly read this in one breath.
Gotcha.
So like a lot of theatre actors, they have to actually mark in where they're going to put their breaths on their scripts.
Do you prepare your voice through like voice exercises?
Warm-ups? Yeah.
Like do you ever do 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1,
No.
1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. I'll teach you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a new one.
I can't do it. I just heard someone do it.
That sounds like a really simple song. No, I mean, yeah.
You go up and down the scale, apparently.
Yeah. Oh, well, I do scales. I mean, I do trills, which are like a.
Oh, yeah. Is that to relax the face muscles?
That and also kind of.
Can I try it? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but you kind of go up and then down. Down and up and down. Yeah.
It really is activating different parts of the brain, huh?
Mm.
And that's what actually speaking is that connection between your mind and the muscles in your face.
Yeah. And it's so interesting when you dig into the voice and where we place our voice. So Americans, when they talk a lot like here down in the throat. Whereas Australians, we kind of talk like we're pretty nasally.
How you going, mate? Like, I'm so nasal.
Yeah. And then the British, they're quite high in the mouth. They're quite high in the, like it's all around here in the front of the mouth. So, yeah, it's interesting when you start thinking about that and then you go, oh, like I've got a kind of reasonably deeper, husky voice and I guess it sits kind of lower than most like kind of like Aussies that might speak up here.
Yeah, you don't sound like that, like naturally. I noticed it the first time I spoke to you on the phone. Yeah, you didn't sound, because I feel like actually over the years from surfing a lot, it's changed my voice.
Oh,
Have
definitely.
you noticed that? And like you hear a lot of Aussie surfer dudes, they've got high voices.
Oh, I don't know about that. But well, I mean, yeah, maybe there's a thing with the pitch, but I know there's a thing called a surfer drawl. And I actually was over in New York a year ago studying at a theatre company. And my voice coach or the voice teacher there was like, at the time I hadn't really addressed a couple of, like I had a few nodules on my vocal cords, which can get quite painful. Mine are totally fine and manageable. And they actually give me the husk that I have. But she was like, what, like I've not, like there's something here. And I'm like, and we kind of cracked it. I was like, I grew up surfing. And I think there's something to do with lying flat on your board, arching your neck back and then yelling. You know how we always yell in the surf? Like we're just we're screaming constantly.
That's exactly what I do.
It's really bad on your throat.
Is it?
She was like, stop yelling immediately.
Right.
And I'm like, but it's part of me. I can't. I have to yell at my friends when they're on a wave. Like I can't not do it.
I'm a surfer. I've got to say you.
Yeah. And then there's also studies that have suggested that maybe the salt water that goes down the back of our, like up our nose, down the back of our throat can.
So there's a sign. I knew there was a science to
There's
it.
something there. I don't know. Someone might be listening going, what? That's BS.
No, it's not BS. It makes perfect sense because I've got what they call exotosis in my ear, my ear canal from surfing cold water, cold wind. And I get these bony growths. They call it surfer's ear. I probably should have my ear drilled. And I have to surf with earplugs. So I spend all my time, if anyone wants to talk to me in the surf, I'm just like, I'm literally yelling at them. And I don't know, I'm doing it. So, it really makes sense.
No wonder your daughter doesn't want to go surfing with you. She's like, Dad.
She thinks I'm yelling at her.
So embarrassing. Why are you yelling at everyone? I'm right here, Dad.
It's true. Actually, now I come to think about it, I was told the other day that I have a really loud voice and I speak loud and it sounds like I'm yelling even when I'm just having a conversation. So maybe I should get my ears fixed because I can't hear properly.
Yeah, that could be it. Yeah.
But like, is doing an audiobook the dream for you as a voiceover artist?
Doing an audiobook is really it. Yeah, I suppose it could be one of my dreams. It is. It's a nice merging of acting and voice work because a lot of voice work is commercial work. But you get the odd commercial job that's like, wow, this is really cool. This is really for something great. A lot of it is just, your standard commercial work, which is also great. But audiobooks, yeah, like similar to like a narration of a documentary, it requires more performance, which I would really love. I haven't done an audiobook. I'm yet to crack that.
Especially if it's a book you really love.
Yeah, and it's a character that you kind of get to sink your teeth into.
Yeah. I mean, I love podcasts because there's a lot. I feel like you can learn a lot from podcasts, and you can choose what you want to, what you want to consume and what you want to learn. And I love audiobooks, especially in this world of driving a lot and commuting a lot. They're just great. I don't have the time to really sit. If I'm on a train or a bus, I can't. Looking at a book's hard. So I love audiobooks for that reason. But I have found that if I don't like the sound of the person reading it, I just can't listen to the book. And it must be such a fine art in finding that right person for the book.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Isn't it a shame when you realize that you just don't like the person's voice and you're like, but it's so interesting.
You love the content. Yeah. So.
I haven't come across that too much, but yeah. I mean, it's all in the casting. And I suppose some books, they're narrated by the authors.
See, I think I prefer that.
Yeah.
Because, I just feel like they're reading it with more conviction.
Yeah.
They've put their life and their soul and their heart into it, and that would come out maybe. But if they're a surfer from like, Wollongong with it, how you going Aussie accent.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Is that you?
Maybe. Yeah, so you grew up in the Northern Beaches, like Narrabeen area.
Yeah.
And you went to school there.
Yeah.
How would you describe your school days as a young girl in, primary school, high school?
They were great.
Good days?
Yeah, they were really good days. I went to a really little primary school, and then my high school was a state school, but full of really smart kids. So I really loved it. I loved my teachers. I felt like I had a really peaceful upbringing.
Great. It's funny because you don't hear that often. And I ask most people that question.
Oh.
And the general response I seem to get is like, oh, school, I hated it. But I get, which I find really interesting because I liked school mainly. I like to learn. Was there a teacher in particular that really stood out for you?
I had an English teacher in high school. What was her name? No, I can't remember it, but I can see her face. Oh, that feels bad. Anyway, she was really inspiring, and I really loved English. Interestingly, I wasn't into science that much as a school kid.
But you liked her.
But I liked her.
What did you like about her?
I feel like she was generous, but she was also, she was kind of, when someone guides you and you don't realize they're guiding you. She was kind of like that. Like she would kind of inspire us. And just like, yeah, it didn't feel forced. It felt more like cohesive and like she was on, like we were kind of on level playing field, but there was still this respect that she was the teacher and we were students. and I really liked that. I really enjoyed English for that reason. I felt quite like, inspired.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I just find, was she a high school teacher?
She was my high school. Yeah, I think it was year 11 and 12.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's funny. I talk a lot about the high school years. I mean, I am a high school teacher, but I think so many people, whether they liked school or not, they always remember it. And they always, I feel, sometimes define themselves to a degree in regards to what kind of student they were and what their school years were like. So I often hear people say, I was terrible at maths, and I'll never be good at maths, or I hated school. I was always in trouble. I was the naughty kid, and they kind of have defined themselves as that person. Because I just feel like those developmental years are so crucial, and they're very delicate to I think a person's self-esteem, and that's why I'm curious, because when you have that one teacher that does build your self-esteem and see the talent in you, I feel like it can change a lot for people. So I don't know, it's just an observation, really.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I loved school. When you said you loved school, I was like, yes, I mean, I'm maybe a bit of a nerd in that way.
Were you good at it? Did you get good grades?
I did get good grades. Yeah. My high school was a selective school, so I was kind of in with a lot of really smart kids, and I wasn't necessarily the top by any means of my grade. But I felt quite like stimulated intellectually. I think a lot of my report cards would say that I talked a lot, which was probably not good. Very distracted, talked a lot.
Who's laughing now? Voiceover artist.
Yeah. This is my job now to talk. But yeah, no, I really liked school.
That's
I felt
great.
like it was, but I grew up in a very privileged area. I had
When you say selective school, was it performing arts selective school?
No, it was like an academic selective school.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's great. Did you transition straight from high school to university?
Yeah.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Was that a deliberate move, or do you think it was the right choice?
I think it was, yeah. I finished school and it kind of just seemed like what everyone else was doing, but it was also what I felt comfortable doing. And I actually liked that I had the momentum of finishing high school and then going straight in and finishing a degree. I don't know if I had taken a year off, I would have maybe taken me a bit longer, but it's always, the benefit of hindsight going, oh, maybe I could have done that or this, but I was actually, I liked going straight into uni. And it's interesting now, though, studying post-grad almost 10 years later, how different my approach is to study.
Okay, well, how's it different?
Oh, I just think I'm paying a lot more attention now, and I'm putting a lot more work into my assignments. And I remember in my undergrad, it was like, oh, if I pass, that'll be awesome. And of course I did quite well, but it wasn't my first and foremost, because I was like 18, 19 years old, and I was also socializing and like surfing heaps and going on, and now and I was really interested in what I was learning, by all means, when I was younger, but now I'm much more engaged, I think, and much more driven to do really well, even though maybe it doesn't mean anything. I don't know. A bit of paper at the end. Does
like
anyone
that.
look at your results? I don't know.
I know. I wonder that. P's get degrees. P's get degrees.
What's
what we
that
used to-
saying?
Like P's get degrees. Like
Oh,
passes.
passes. Oh, gosh.
That was our mantra, but I graduated with more than that. Let's not talk about me. But anyway, listen, the whole going back to what you're saying, like you're more focused now. It's probably because you've got a lot more purpose in what you're doing, and it's close to your heart.
I think so, yeah.
Why is it close to your heart? Like, what inspired that desire to learn about and evolve in that way?
To go back to uni and learn more
About sustainability,
Yeah.
or sustainable development.
Yeah.
How did that come to fruition for you?
Oh, I think it was, after finishing my first degree, and I worked in the industry as a planner, environmental planner. And then there was that gap of like 8 years where I was an actress and a voiceover artist. But I was still so interested in environmental issues. And I think it kind of all came to a head like a couple of years ago when the climate crisis really was elevated, and it was something that was being discussed a lot. And I felt really helpless. And it's easy to feel quite like disengaged, I find, if you don't know necessarily what exactly is happening, and more importantly, how you can help, or like that there are solutions. So I think what urged me to go back to uni was not necessarily like, oh, I'll get a job at the end of this. It was more just to learn. And it's so great. You can do degrees online. So I just signed up and I was like, hey, I can do this online. Like, I'm reading about this stuff anyway. I may as well do a master's. Like, I may as well
Amazing.
like actually do this properly. And yeah, and I've enjoyed it even more than what I imagined I would, because it's just so relevant. Like every day I see something in the news and I'm like, oh, that's just what I was learning, last month, or like, yeah. And it fosters a lot of discussion, which is great.
So maybe you were becoming more conscious of the issue.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. 10 years ago, I mean, even when I did my undergrad, I don't really remember discussing climate change that much, which is pretty scary.
And would you say that it wasn't really sitting well with you within yourself, like not knowing? And like was that a spark for you because you felt?
Yeah, I like to know stuff. Like, I think it's good to be informed. And I am pretty driven by realizing that I don't know much. You think you're like, oh yeah, I know what climate change is. You're like, but what actually is it? And then it's a hard thing to, climate change is such a hyper object anyway, so it's a hard thing to define. But I started realizing that I was kind of like, over the course of my acting career, when we talk about environmental, oh yeah, I've got a degree in sustainability, and I'd make these like kind of broad comments, and I'm like, I don't really know that much, like, the specifics. So yeah, it was nice to go. It's nice to now be learning more specifically things that I'm like, I want to have like in-depth conversations about this, and I want to actually know, not just know that it's bad.
Yeah, and I agree with you there. I personally feel that the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know as well.
Yes.
And
I feel like I don't know anything, and I'm learning more and more.
Exactly. But I also think that's a step into living consciously.
Yeah.
And then when you start living consciously, you start making more conscious decisions. And even if they're small or incremental over the course of your life, well, then that is making change. And I feel like it can be that simple. So yeah, it's really cool that you listen to that part of yourself that wanted to do it, because anyway, I want to talk about your acting a little bit. So you were into it as a child, and when did you ever make a conscious decision to say, look, I want to try and make this a living, or make this, I want to be more involved in it? At what age did that start for you?
I don't know if I made a decision as to like, this is going to be my living. I definitely loved it. So yeah, I did drama through primary school, and then high school. And I think my first ever job was actually with a theatre company. It was a theatre show.
Amazing.
And my mum found the audition online. It was like an open casting call for like kids. And the play was called Skate. You'd love this. It's called Skate, and it's written by an Australian playwright set in a small town called Deniliquin. It's a true story of how they raised funds to get a skate park built to kind of save the young community who had nothing to do. And I ended up getting the role. And we did a whole season, or a few like weeks of shows in Sydney, and then we toured all around New South Wales.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it was such a great experience, and I loved it. And after that, I got a little commercial, and I remember that commercial, someone sat me down and was like, what are you going to do after this? And I think I was like 14, and I looked like I was about 11. Like, I looked so young. And they're like, what are you going to do after this? And I'm like, I don't know. They're like, really think you should pursue this. And I think that was the first time I was like, oh, cool. Someone thinks I'm good at this. But it kind of just sat there for a bit. I feel like that just got like placed on the bench as like, that's something that I can touch at a later point.
Amazing.
And then finished my schooling and ended up doing my degree. And then when I was working for the state government as an environmental planner, I was kind of like, maybe I might try that. And and I honestly felt like I was coming in at a very late stage, because by that point I was 20, 21, 22. And I felt like I was over the hill. I was like, oh, I'm so old. No one's going to, like, I'm too old to do this, which is ridiculous. But yeah, and so I kind of went about getting an agent in a very unorthodox way. I didn't have a show reel. I didn't have anything.
What'd you do? You just called them?
Well, I called a couple people and they're like, where's your show reel? Which is, for those listening who don't know, it's basically just like a little edit of you performing.
Got you.
And I was like, oh, I don't have one. And they're like, yeah, look, sorry, like, we're not going to represent you if you don't have a show reel. And I was like, yeah, that's fair enough. Until this one agency who had also kind of like said, sorry, we need a show reel. They emailed me again and they said, oh, we're having this open audition. Like, if you want to come in, you can do it that way. And so I kind of was like, yeah. So I prepared a little monologue and just did it in the office for these, for my first agent, who has sadly passed away since, Mark Byrne. And yeah, he gave me my first start.
So you kind of like impressed them?
Yeah, I guess so. They're like, all right, we'll take you.
And where did it go from there once you got him on board?
Well, I was still working at the Department of Planning, and then so I signed with them, and then I was kind of sneaking out on my lunch break to do the odd audition, which was really funny because, you know, going from like corporate government job in like, you know, the kitten heels and the little suit to like going to the...
I don't know you that well, but I can't imagine you in that kit.
I know. It was really cute because I was wearing a lot of suits that my mom had from the 80s because I didn't have my own office wear.
So you're kind of like retro office.
Yeah, I was like probably the best dressed person in there.
I reckon you would have been for sure.
But yeah, I was...
So you were sneaking off...
Sneaking off to do auditions, and then it happened quite quickly for me. I think maybe like 2 months in, I booked the lead of this kid series, In Your Dreams, and that was like a 26 episode show that we shot in Germany for 6 months, and then part of it here. It was a co-production. So I kind of had to say to my boss at the Department of Planning, hey, I'm going to leave. I got to leave because I'm going to be an actress now. And everyone was so baffled. They're like, what? Where are you go? Like, where did that come from?
Like they didn't know that you were into it?
No, I didn't tell anyone. I wasn't, you know, at the office cooler like, hey, I want to be an actress. They're like, all right, good luck. I didn't really tell anyone about my acting until I booked a job. I felt like that was the best way to go.
Were you like maybe shy about it?
I think I just didn't. I was like, oh, if I fail, then that's fine. No one will know that I failed.
Yeah. Yeah, I get you.
And I'm also not a big, you know, like my really close friends know if I've done a big audition, but maybe I'm a bit superstitious. I figure like I don't want to like spread the word and then I don't get it. And now I know that you do so many auditions that you really can't tell everyone every time you do an audition. It's too much.
Have you, how do you handle rejection?
You get better at it, I suppose, but it's not nice.
It's still hard. Not nice. It's not just expected as part of what you like, part of the game.
Oh, it's expected. Yeah. Every audition you do, you kind of, you need to walk out going, cool, that was that. And I'll never hear again. And then if you hear, you're like, oh, that's so lovely.
Has there been times where you're like, I nailed that audition and you really expected it?
Yeah.
There must have been those times.
There has been times where I've walked out going, oh, that was a really good audition. I felt like I was really in my groove and I vibed with the casting director. But then you can never pick it because really, ultimately, it's not up to you. You know, you can go in there and you do your best work, but everyone is so different, and that's actually a nice thing to remind yourself. It's like, I'm me and there's no one else who's like me. And I have even though there's lots of, you know, 5'5" brunette 30-year-old actresses, everyone has their own little flavor and you can't really change that. So yeah, you get better at taking rejection, but it's hard when you get down to the final, the nitty-gritty. It's you and one other person. That's when it's
so interesting. When I was entertaining the idea of starting a podcast, I was really like, you know, embarrassed and shy and scared of ridicule and judgment. And I said to a friend once, I said, oh, I don't know, like I said, there's that many podcasts out there. Like the world doesn't really need another podcast. There's like 800,000 of them out there or something stupid like that. And his analogy was like, well, he said, when you go to the supermarket in the cereal aisle, there's all different types of cereal and some of them are the same but they're all a little bit different. And he said, like, even if you do something that's exactly like someone else, or the same format or whatever, it still will be you, and that will make it original. And that's why people might listen, you know, because of your little flavor that you add to it, or the little twists that your personality puts on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, oh wow, like that was a bit of a learning experience for me, and that actually was the catalyst for me actually going, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
You know, so okay, that you got that 26 show series, kids show, which is amazing. And then what would you like say was maybe, what would you regard as like the highlight of your acting career so far?
Ooh, that's
Sorry to put you on the spot.
No,
and
that's
it doesn't
okay.
have to be a show. It could be even a moment, like you might have done a scene where you just it was a motive and you just felt like you really portrayed the message well.
There's a lot of stuff on Home and Away. Well, I can't speak right now, but like in terms of emotional stuff, I feel like that job really like cracked me open.
Did it really?
It's hard work.
Why?
Because it's a very, it's a soap opera. It's quite melodramatic at times, and it requires a lot of emotion.
Did it drain you emotionally?
Sometimes, yeah. Like, you know, any good job that you care about a lot can be draining. I mean, it's hard to say what the highlight is. I was in a film called Holding the Man, and I had such a small role, but it was kind of early on in my career, and the film itself is a beautiful story. It's a book written by Timothy Conograve, he's passed away, but it's a love story, a gay love story between two Melbourne boys in the 70s or maybe the 80s. And I got a very small role in it, but I got to kind of work with a lot of really amazingly talented, high-profile people, which for me was like, it's funny how that, you know, I just got to learn and be on set with all of these incredible actors, and then it ended up being the closing night film at Sydney Film Festival back in 2015 or 16. So while I didn't have a huge part, I kind of felt like it was like a really nice introduction to this bigger like industry. So that was a nice moment, but it's hard because there's so many nice moments in every job.
There.
Yeah.
And like, did you feel like being around a higher caliber was like a really good learning experience? Like you got to maybe feel their vibe and their energy, see their process.
Yeah.
And then that helped you develop and improve?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, every job you pick up a few little things. Like, you know, some jobs you pick up heaps, and some jobs you're like, oh, that's interesting. Like they do that, or that's how that works. And even just being on set, how, you know, every set is different, but it's really like a lovely family vibe on set.
Yeah.
Because the crew and the cast, you know, you're on it for a couple of months and then you might not see each other ever again. So it's an interesting working environment. But yeah, every set is different, but yeah, you pick up little things and you go, oh, I'll take that. I'll put that in my pocket for next time.
Yeah, right. Like, so like being on like a soap opera, like Home and Away, was it like, I know like obviously the acting side of it is intense and busy, but on a day-to-day, on a practical level for people like myself who would never see behind the scenes of a show that is on TV daily, what's a day on set like? Is it really intense? Is it a long day? And do they film a whole bunch of shows in a short period of time they do the whole season in one period, or is it a slow burn?
It's a slow burn, but it's definitely not a small burn, if that makes sense. Because I was nodding when you're going, is it a long day? I was like, yes. You're
it's a long day.
It's a long day. When you're one of the key casts, if you're one of the, you know, there's like 20, 25 main characters, so they shoot 5 episodes a week.
Okay.
And there's 2 sets running at any one time. So they have like a location and then a studio. So anything that's interior is shot in a studio, except for like 2 like spots. I think like the courtroom is an actual courtroom. So yeah, a lot of the time you might start in studio, which is in Redfern, and then you shoot 3 scenes there, and then they'll transport you up to Palm Beach and you do another 2 scenes up there, and then you might go back. That's called a double crossover.
It's a big day.
It's a big day, but you know, your schedule changes every week. So some weeks you might have 3 episodes. You might be in 3 episodes that week, or sometimes you might just be in 2 episodes. And so, you know, each character has like their storylines fluctuate. So it might be, you know, a couple of characters might have a big storyline, and that means that, you know, other characters might have a bit of a more quieter, more like secondary storyline for that week. So it ebbs and flows.
Yeah, like were you able to put your creative spin on things? Were you given much creative freedom?
Yeah.
You were?
I mean, within reason.
Within
like
reason.
any show, you know, it's there are scripts and there are boundaries, but
Like you could deviate away from the script sometimes if you felt in the moment.
It depends. It depends if it changed the narrative. You know, you can't just totally change the narrative.
No,
that would everyone be like, "What the hell?" I'm making up my own lines. But you know, if you wanted to make a line be more like easy to say, you can kind of, you know, massage it. That's what you say. You massage the lines. Yeah, so that there's flexibility in that sense. And then, like you were saying before, you bring your flavor to it.
Bring your flavor.
And a lot of the time you're cast in the role because of your flavor. So, you know,
cool.
they want that flavor.
Cool. And well, that's why they picked you.
Yeah.
It's funny. One of my past guests a couple of episodes ago, Pat Millen, who's a Hollywood stuntman, and he choreographs fight scenes, and he did a lot of the choreography for movies like the Transformers movie Bumblebee and the latest Bad Boys for Life with Will Smith. And he was a stunt double for James Franco in the HBO show, a series or something. I didn't quite catch it. But what he said I found really interesting. He said, like when you're around those really refined, higher profile actors, when like you're on set and then when they arrive on set, the whole vibe changes and they just bring this energy, and he's like, it just uplifts the set and everyone just goes really calm, and they just bring this like next level of, I guess, I don't know, inspiration to the whole crew. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. Like they have an aura about them. Yeah. And I really believe in that. You know, they talk about the X factor. That's that thing that can't be defined in someone when they're good at something. Like, and I see it in surfers a lot. Like there's surfers like, for example, Dane Reynolds, who, you know, never really won a world title. He definitely didn't win a world title, wasn't on the world tour long, but amazing surfer. But I could watch him all day over someone that's, you know, won world titles. I won't mention any names, but yeah, I don't know. Like he's just got this X factor in the way he does things. And
yeah.
I don't know.
He doesn't care so much.
Do you see that though in your line of work with other people that you work with?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, there's a certain amount of like natural talent that is required, and then there's also a lot of hard work. I feel like you see it a lot in kids, don't you think? Like adults were kind of like, we're a bit more tapered back in a way. Like maybe not. I mean, no, not everyone by all means, but I often feel like I'll meet a kid and I'm like, whoa, they're going to do something great. They've got that spark. And it's usually kids that really like look at you and connect, because, you know, kids are kind of like always in their own world, which is totally fine. But in terms of a performance child, I'm like, you should get them in acting.
Yeah. Do you think you could ever see yourself like mentoring young actors and actresses?
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe. Hey.
I've never thought about
there
it.
There you go. Just came to
Could
me.
do. I'd love to talk about it.
Yeah.
I'd love chatting about acting and breaking down scenes. Yeah.
So cool. So listen, like it's been really interesting, and it's been epic. It's almost been an hour of talking to you. Like it just goes so quick.
Whoa.
And I guess we are on a bit of a time schedule tonight, partly because I was late because I made a bit of a bad traffic decision, but we won't go there. But I just want to I ask all the guests that come on the show to sort of come with a cause that they want us to like maybe discuss or advocate for. So is there anything you'd like to advocate for today, Tessa?
Well, I did want to mention that I run a little not-for-profit called Yikes, which basically, if you're Sydney-based, I put on events where we screen documentary films, and then we have a panel discussion afterwards. At the moment with COVID, they've kind of slowed down a bit, but there's still a lot of stuff happening online. So if you want to follow us there. I do actually interviews like this, but on Zoom. So there's a video component as well.
I've watched it. I watched one actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
the one with Alice about plastic?
There was an IGTV one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was about plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been doing a lot of them. So there's still stuff to kind of tap into, even though COVID's not happening. And if you're in Sydney, you can, it's free and welcome for anyone who wants to learn about environmental issues and have a beer and watch a doco and hear about some nerdy science stuff.
Because I was going to say, what's the general nature of the documentaries that you're playing? Is it around conservationism, sustainability?
Yeah, all sorts of stuff. So the first event we showed a film that 350.org made, 350.org.
Okay.
It's actually started in America, but
Okay.
they're here in Australia. 350 is the amount of carbon that should be in the air.
Gotcha.
Or is the limit, and we're way past it. Started by Bill McKibben. Anyway, they had a film called Accelerate. So that was about the fossil fuel industry. And then the second one was about coral bleaching. The third event was about fast fashion. We did a big fundraiser for the fires, which was
amazing.
Really cool.
Yeah. I follow Patagonia on YouTube, and they do a lot of beautiful short films around exactly the stuff you're talking about, the same sort of topics. And I've actually sometimes thought like I'd love to have it's just YouTube, but I think when you create a public screening of something to bring people together, like we can sit in our lounge room and watch this stuff, but when you congregate and watch and then have a space to discuss, it just adds so much more weight and power and connection. And
it also kind of removes the seriousness in a way. Like some of these environmental documentaries are pretty tough to get through. Like they are a little depressing, and I think watching them on your own, especially, at the moment we're all a bit isolated, like it's tough. It leaves you feeling a bit like, oh, what's the point? And I think in starting Yikes, that was what we were trying to combat, which is like, come to a fun bar. Like, I don't know if there's any Sydney-siders out there, but we run them at Frida's. And
right. Like drink with purpose.
Like, I mean, don't even drink a beer, drink a soda, but like come and like, you can meet some other really cool people and it's like kind of a more relaxed discussion. And it's like, if you don't know anything, great. Like there's the base level of like knowledge is very low, there's always entry level questions, and it's like more of kind of like a safe space to just be like, yeah, what the hell is coral bleaching? Like what actually happens? And a lot of the time, like I'm learning just as much as anyone else in the audience. So yeah, it's really great for me and for everyone else.
Totally. Like, like I said, I really think there needs to be more of it. But as you were talking then, I was thinking about, environmental issues. And I do have moments of like, the problem's too big. Like, and it's
a hyper object.
Well, I do. It is. And I get really overwhelmed with it. But years ago, I sort of came to this conclusion of like, well, when you live consciously and make conscious decisions day to day, whether it be composting your food scraps or recycling or, upcycling some old clothing, it's just a really fun way to live.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a nice way to live.
It feels like you're life hacking everything.
Yeah, and it just makes you just feel really good inside.
Yeah.
And if that's a that's a selfish reason, but it's also like a pretty good reason to be selfish,
Yeah.
Because I go through moments of like, oh, this is fucked and that sucks and da 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 da, and I can go down really deep rabbit holes about what should happen in the world. But when you strip it back, it's a really nice way to live. And so when I have a worm farm.
Oh, nice.
So my daughter is just like, let's go see the worms. She doesn't know that we're really doing it to get worm juice so we can water the garden with it and fertilize, and then, use the worm poo as fertilizer and all that.
Yeah.
Like, let's just go and see the worms. Let's go and feed the worms. So she's getting the food scraps out of the compost and putting them in there. And it's just really nice.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
it's interesting. My dad's a really great, he's got the most amazing veggie garden.
Has he?
Yeah. And that provides a lot of food for him and my mom. And
nutrient dense food.
nutrient dense, and they're very eco-minded people, but it's interesting how these life habits come from different places. I think it came from a place of it tastes better and it's more nutrients in me growing it that way than, I'm saving the carbon footprint of the agricultural business and the food production business.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, you come to that final place, it's great because it is helping the environment. Yeah. And, a lot of people do it because they want to be frugal. It's fine. That's for fair enough reason.
Right.
You save a lot of money being mindful with your consumption and reusing everything and trying not to just buy everything and chuck it out, single use stuff.
Exactly. I think our parents and our grandparents' generation, it was just that's what you did. Everyone everyone would try and grow stuff because they grew up in a time. Oh, hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I've lost my headphones. But they grew up in a time when access to good quality, it wasn't like we had Woolies and Coles and those big places where things were so convenient. There was less convenience is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's nice.
Yeah.
But anyway, listen, Tessa, I've got a little present for you.
Oh.
Don't get too excited. It's not here. Oh, no. Sorry, no, we're not quite finished. So you've got your Yikes initiative, which I love.
Yes.
Where can people learn more about that?
Well, most of the action happens on Facebook. So I'm sorry if you don't have Facebook. So our username is Yikes Collective. And then Instagram we also have, which is __yikes. So at the moment we're just those two.
And people can go there to find out when events are on.
When events are on, yeah, because we're not, while there's stuff that gets shared online, we're not kind of like a news outlet that's this is the latest environmental news. There's a little bit of that, but not really. We're mostly about our events because that's our focus.
Amazing. Yeah. And we were talking at the start of the show about another initiative that you'd like to maybe raise awareness about.
Oh, it's just something I've been reading, which I've been finding so interesting. It's intersectional environmentalism.
Can you maybe give us a quick description for those that aren't sure?
Yeah, well, it's a new term. It was coined by an American environmentalist who's also a person of color. And it kind of came around the time that the Black Lives Matter movement kind of all started happening in the States. And it's essentially looking at really we can't achieve climate justice without justice for First Nations and Indigenous or Black people first, and how a lot of the time the impacts of climate change affect marginalized communities more than how it affects, the more affluent areas. So if you think about it like climate refugees, that's a huge issue, like people being displaced because islands are completely going under, and areas, like the lower lying areas are flooding. That's usually where lower socioeconomic people are living. They don't have insurance. These kind of things with changing weather patterns, it's just affecting our marginalized communities more. So intersectional environmentalism kind of looks at that and acknowledges those links. And if you go to intersectionalenvironmentalism.com, there's a lot of resources being shared if you're interested in reading about it. I've been working my way through and, I'm finding it really interesting.
It's amazing. And I'll put that link in your show notes,
cool.
along with some links to access to the Yikes social media pages. And you can find Tessa's episode show notes on terriblehappytalks.com.
Shan?
Yeah.
Would you mind if I do one more shout out?
Absolutely. Shout out.
Only because I shot a film last year, a feature film down in Melbourne, and it just got accepted into MIF.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So that's the Melbourne International Film Festival, which is actually happening online, and people can buy tickets and stream it in their own homes. It's going from August 6 till 23.
Amazing.
So it's an Australian indie, but it's got a very heavy Kiwi twist.
Okay.
Like a Kiwi comedy.
It's a Kiwi comedy.
If you like Taika Waititi's films, it's very similar.
Kiwis just crack me up as it is.
Oh, they're so funny.
Like Flight of the Conchords.
Yeah.
Like
so good.
I don't know, there's just something about it. It's so dry, their humour, they're so funny.
Yeah.
They do a lot of like, actually, because I'm a health and personal development PE teacher guy, we sometimes do like an analysis of government initiatives around alcohol awareness or drink driving.
Oh, those ads. I know them. They're amazing.
And the Kiwi ones are the best. Like they'll often make them really funny, like, but with a really serious message, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone does it better than them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're good.
They're so cool. But listen,
So, yeah.
I'll put a link to MIF and
The
that
film's called Paper Champions.
Paper Champions.
Yeah.
So what did you write it?
No.
You star in it.
I star in it. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to watch it, and I'm definitely going to put the link in your show notes.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks.
So that will follow Tessa's episode around all the platforms such as Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Buzzsprout, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio, and Google Podcasts. So you can click on those links and check it all out. Now listen, Tessa, I got a bit ahead of myself. I've had a massive day because I've done 2 awesome podcasts today.
That's a lot of talking.
It's great. I love it. I could do it all day. Something about it. I just absolutely love it. I did one with this guy, Dan Mann, who's a prolific surfboard shaper for Firewire surfboards. And so I've had a good day talking to surfers. It's been amazing, which is nice.
Very cool.
It's always nice. But so first gift is not here, but our friends at Indosol will be sending you a pair of new flip-flops or slides. So I'll have to get your shoe size before we leave. And the Australian
Thank you, Indosol.
I know, and their Australian distributor will be sending you a pair, repurposed motor vehicle tyres. And a big shout out to Kai Paul, Chris Pappas and Kyle Parsons, founders of Indosol, have just been so amazing. They're just the most generous guys. And go to their website and use promo code THT. And the other present I have for you, and please don't get too excited, go into my little package.
I'm a bit nervous.
Are you?
What are you going to pull out of that bag? It's a sticker.
It's just a sticker, but it's the THT Circle logo sticker. I only give them to people that have been on the show. So you're now a THT alumni.
Yes.
So stick it somewhere. Maybe stick it on your surfboard.
Oh, I'm sponoed by THT.
Are you?
Well,
yes.
if it's on my surfboard, I'm sponoed.
Can you get you sponoed? I can't believe you said sponoed.
My life dream.
I can't believe you said sponoed because previous guest Slippery Surfer, who's an QS surfer, and now he's the world's best surf rapper, he claims.
Oh,
His
wow.
latest song is called Sponoed.
Wow. I need to make a sponsor me like YouTube clip with that song, as you know.
You should. Oh, it'd be so fun. Sponoed. He's a legend. He's such a hard worker, and he's the best surf rapper alive. And I said, "Why are you the best surf rapper alive?" And he said, "Because I'm the only surf rapper alive."
Yeah, I haven't heard of many.
No. So anyway, you're an alumni. There's only 68 of these. So
Wow.
thank you for your time and energy. It's just been such a pleasure.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure on my end as well.
Anyway, all right, we done?
We're done.
It's Friday night. Oh, no, it's Thursday night. Okay, and you've got dinner plans. All right, here we go. Outro music is coming. You.